Hey guys, we've got the first draft guide on the channel, and you guys voted for Stay in Your Lane as the gem grab map you wanted to see me make a guide on. When this guide is out, there will be a new poll on my channel for which Brawl Ball map you want. Keep in mind that I'm not a pro player, I just play a lot of Power League, and there are definitely people with more knowledge about the draft. If you're one of those people and you see that I messed something up, let me know in the comments, because I'll be happy to pin it or clarify if I got something wrong. But here's how the guide is going to work. I'm going to tell you good bans for either pick, early picks, late picks, and last picks. I think it's important to understand when and why a brawler is good at picks. You're not just picking brawlers because you think it's smart, and how to use it effectively in the map. But if you don't care about that and you just want to see a graphic, you can skip to the last 30 seconds of the video. Before we talk about picks, most maps have 2 lanes and 1 mid, but this one has 2 lanes and kind of 2 mids. It's like 2 entries to mid. Generally, the left entry of mid is going to be better because you have bushes and you can use speedier to get in, but certain brawlers are better on the right side, so I'll let you know which one is better. For this guide, I'm going to call it left lane is all the way on the left of the map, right lane is all the way on the right of the map, left mid is the left entry to mid, and right mid is the right entry to mid. Keep in mind that while some brawlers are better at playing from different points on the map, and I'll tell you when, but matchups are almost always more important, so you often need to swap lanes and get a more effective matchup. For the bans, if your team has first pick, I recommend banning Sandy, Rosa, or Tara. Sandy can be really strong in this map if they even have one good matchup to charge their super, but if you first pick it, then the opponents aren't going to give you a good matchup, so you're not really going to see it first picked. So if you ban it, you're able to pick Maisie, which is a very bad matchup into Sandy. For Rosa, you want to ban her because the enemy is going to have last pick if you have first pick, and Rosa last pick is really scary because if they have no counters, then you just lose because the Rosa will just run down your whole team. You can draft a comp that it won't be too weak to Rosa, but that is going to rely on random teammates a lot, and you don't want to do that too much in Power League. And finally, Tara is another brawler that is really good against the Maisie first pick, which is a very valuable pick, and it's also a big threat to the gem carrier. If your team has second pick, meaning the other team has first pick, it's best to ban Maisie, Bo, and Amber. Maisie is just so strong right now, and it's like really hard to counter, especially if they ban Sandy and Tara, which they will often do. Bo is still good even with his nerfs because he's very well-rounded, and he really only struggles against aggressive brawlers. And Amber's really strong right now and pretty underrated, at least in Mythic. You see it more in Legendary and Masters, but it also doesn't require a lot of skill, so it's kind of scary because anyone can play it. Now let's talk about the early picks. Early picks are ones that aren't risky or easily counterable. They usually are well-rounded brawlers or brawlers that are very strong in the current meta. While early picks usually mean the first 3 picks of the draft, you can still take these brawlers later in the draft if it's a good pick. Maisie is, in my opinion, the best brawler in the game right now. She's got range, damage, area, knockback, slowing, even mobility, and she can attack through walls with her super. She's only countered by long range, but that's really only on open maps, especially with walls. She can just hide behind them and push up slowly. And then also spawnable spam, but once she gets her super, she can kind of take them out with the area, and then also she does not do well into stew. But on this map, she can play any of the lanes or mids depending on the rest of your comp, and you can use the super plus dash combo to kill their gem carrier. Bo is a very well-rounded and safe first pick. He's not the insta-lock he was before, but he is still a pretty strong brawler. He does best on the left lane and left mid where he can set up mines on their side of the bushes in mid. Try and place his mines while they're off screen so they don't know where they are. And the tripwire gadget's pretty underrated and you can use it to catch people off guard. Amber is a great option to play right lane or right mid and burn their bushes and hold control. If they have range, you can use the speed gadget and push up to get kills, but generally you want to use the Dancing Flames gadget, which, because of its buff, can just shred through walls or even defend you at close range. Sandy is really strong if you have a good matchup, so I wouldn't first pick her, but if you see one good matchup, you can definitely pick her. Use the stun gadget to win lane and get your first super, and then after that, use her super to gain and maintain control with the Rude Sandstar power. They aren't going to be able to heal if they're inside your super, and you can also see them in bushes. Save the rest of her gadgets to kill their gem carrier or protect yours, and if you pair it with the gadget gear, you can do this a lot more effectively. She's strongest on the left lane because there's more bushes and it's easier to push up, but she can also be played on the right lane if there's a better matchup on that side. Lou is a solid pick because he is strong against tanks and he can use his hypercharge to easily take out their gem carrier. Because the map is divided into thin lanes, it's not too hard to hit shots and charges for a super. He's good on either lane, but try and stay away from lanes that have mobility brawlers like Stu. He can play through the mids, but he's not a great gem carrier as he folds very easily to aggressive brawlers, so you can stack mid if you have a gem carrier and you want to put Lou in the mid. While 8-Bit does better on the other gem grab maps in the game, he's still a good option on this one. He's one of the best gem carriers in the game because of his teleport gadget, and he can be very hard to stop once he sets his super up behind the unbreakable wall. Similar to Lou, the thin lanes on the map help him to hit shots and get his super. He does well paired with an aggression counter like Maisie or Charlie because the bushes on the map are definitely his weak point. He is always mid in gem carrier, and it's best to enter through the left mid using the speed gear. Pearl is very strong right now with devastating DPS and very easy to hit shots, and her super is good defense, allowing her to play as gem carrier, but she's also a strong lane if you have a better gem carrier. She is great to shred high HP brawlers, and her burn gadget lets her one-shot squishy brawlers. Her main weakness is mobility brawlers due to her long unload speed. Other counters are brawlers that outrange her, however, on a map with this many bushes, using speed gear allows her to push up to them much more easily. Even though Janet has been unused for a while, she's a very underrated pick, especially in gem grab. Her super makes her the best gem carrier in the game. She has effective bush checking, is even better when paired with the vision gear. Use her speaker gadget to check bushes and hold control by preventing healing. While she is the best gem carrier in the game, she can also play lane if you happen to have a brawler like 8-Bit who can't play lane. Charlie is great against Maisie with her Spider's gadget, especially with the gadget gear, and she often goes unbanned. Her super is valuable to protect your gem carrier or to drop the gems from theirs. Because of her nerfs, she can be pretty weak to some commonly picked brawlers like Sandy, Bo, and Amber, which is why it might not be best to pick right away, but if you think you should, it isn't the worst idea. She's best played on either lane and is a great counter to aggression. She's a smart choice if you have a weak mid that needs to be defended. Tara is pretty much the exact same as Charlie for this map. She counters Maisie because of her gadget, which is good with the gadget gear, and she has a strong super to kill their gem carrier or protect hers. She is weak to similar brawlers and is better picked a little later, but not too late. Squeak is a safe pick who is only weak to getting run down by mobility or HP, but if you do pick it early, your teammates can pair with tank counters to stop that weakness. Use the residue gadget to instantly get control of a lane or the mid and use the remaining to maintain it. You can use either star power, but I like to use the slowing one to try and take down their mid since the chain reaction has been nerfed. Next is late picks. Late picks are ones that are risky or counterable, but there's only one or no picks left to do it. Late picks are usually taken in specific scenarios to counter early picks or when the other team doesn't have any counters. Last picks are the last 3 picks of the draft, and technically you could pick them earlier, but that's going to be a lot more risky. Colette is obviously good against high HP brawlers and is a great answer to 8-Bit. Since it isn't heist, push it as the better star power to guarantee 2 hits with a super. Remember that 2 regular attacks followed by a super can kill every single brawler in the game, unless they use a healing or shielding ability, including the shield gear. She is best played through the left mid as a gem carrier because of her healing gadget and ability to grab important gems with her super. But if there is an important matchup like a tank on lane, she can play through either lane as well. She's weak to a lot of mid and long range matchups that don't have a lot of HP, so make sure she has a favorable matchup if you're going to pick her. While Spike is an overrated randoms pick, he can still be very useful against the right matchups. The higher you are, the weaker Spike is due to players knowing how to dodge curveballs. He's still good against Maisie, Stu, and other single shot mid ranges. While he does shred tanks, he can still get run down kind of easily with their supers, thinking like El Primo super or Bull super. If you are playing a tank, Spike can be a good pick, but there are much better options. Watch out for throwers and sharpshooters that will 2-shot you and use walls and range to stop you from even hitting them at all. I keep mentioning mobility brawlers, and Stu is by far the strongest one. He's really strong against Maisie and great against brawlers with long unload speeds like Pearl. He has constant pressure on the gem carrier using his super chaining abilities. Both gadgets are very viable, allowing him to either break walls and bushes, or to set his teammates up to win lane easily with speed. His biggest weaknesses are pet spam that prevent his super, and the fact that he has lowish damage per second. A lot of people think that Stu counters tanks, and while he is able to escape them easily and cycle supers off of them, if they have any sort of walls, he's never going to be able to kill them because of their high HP. Stu works as a lane or mid because he can escape aggression easily and heal up with the Gasso Heal star power. Miko is in a great spot right now and works really well when he has at least 2 favorable matchups. Even if the other team has 1 pick to counter, he can swap lanes with 3 quick jumps and be on a better matchup. His ammo stealing star power makes it so that even his counters don't really counter him. He is best played to stack mid with a gem carrier and then choose a lane to attack based off the matchups. He isn't great at picking up gems throughout the game, but if gems are dropped at the end, he can pick up 10 and then the game is pretty much over. He is weak to tanks, but pretty much anyone else is a decent matchup or better. Leon's hypercharge is super strong and is great for a free kill on their gem carrier. Setting his turret up behind the unbreakable wall allows him to switch sides of mid. Because of this, he is best played by stacking mid and choosing a side similar to Miko. Watch out for brawlers with lots of projectiles that'll make his super useless. Jesse's super is really strong placed on your side of their unbreakable wall, preventing them from entering mid at all, threatening them with the slowing gadget. The problem with Jessie on this map is that she struggles to play lane, forcing her to play mid and take gems, but she's easily killed with aggression. This means you want to take her when the other team doesn't have too much aggression, or when you have someone stacking mid with you, or someone protective like Charlie or Tara. Cord is very scary in gem grab because his super is almost a free kill on their mid. Whatever abilities they have that make them a good gem holder don't work anymore. The problem with Cord is that he's easily countered by most mid ranges and he will get focused down if you have him. If the other team has a brawler that can feed his super, he's going to be a strong option, but I wouldn't pick him if they don't have something that's going to feed his super. Rosa's slowing gadget makes it so the other team is scared to use their bushes, and if they aren't, they get punished. If you take her too early, they will just take Gale or Otis, and then it's not going to be a fun game for you. You could maybe take her before the last pick if you want to stop them from getting it last, but it might not work out. She is best played on the left lane or stacking the left mid. Edgar is a great pick if they have a weak mid and is played from the left or right lane. Use the supercharge gadget to quickly get supers and eventually your hypercharge. Keep in mind that he isn't as good with his nerfs and should be saved until you see a weak mid. Watch out for DPS and knockback when picking him because those are his hardest counters. Ems is very good against Tara and other slow brawlers who can't pressure her too much, like 8-bit. Use the gadget gear with her knockback gadget to keep control, but try and save one because once she runs out, she becomes almost useless. She is best played when stacking the left mid with a gem carrier. She is weak to mobility and long range because she struggles to hit them. Pam is a smart pick if the enemy doesn't have high damage per second, and she works as a decent mid because of her HP. Use the Scrap Sucker gadget to win the mid and get control. If you get super while fighting for control, place it behind your unbreakable. But if you get it while you have control, place it behind their unbreakable to stop them from entering mid. Watch out for high damage per second brawlers like Ems or 8-bit. The final late pick, don't forget about Otis as a tank counter. He's good on the right lane and right mid and is very hard to push into when he has super. Use his Fat Splatter gadget to win control over lane quickly or to help your mid win control if they're struggling. Don't pick him too early or the other team just won't take any tanks and then he's not going to be very helpful to your team. Finally, the last picks. Only take these brawlers if you have the very last pick because they're very easy to counter. Technically, any brawler can be a good last pick if the matchups are right, but here are the more common ones for this map. If I make more draft guides, you're going to notice that Mortis is always a good last pick, except for Heist. If Mortis has all good matchups, you just instantly win unless you're very bad at Mortis. Free kills on their mid, nobody can do anything. Unfortunately, Mortis good matchups are pretty specific, and it's rare to see Go players take a full team bad against Mortis. Mortis is good against throwers and low DPS brawlers with no defense, meaning no knockbacks or stuns. Play him wherever you want on the map because hopefully, if you picked him, you have all good matchups and you can just run down their comp and stack supers infinitely. Fang is a much better choice than Mortis because his super and hypercharge allow him to beat matchups that aren't perfectly good. A well-timed stun gadget can even beat Maisie. Good if the other team is too squishy and doesn't have too much defense, and he can play any of the lanes or mids, but he is not a gem carrier. Watch out for tank counters and other tanks because Fang does lose to brawlers like Jackie, Rosa, and Bull. Buster is pretty good against most of the brawlers in the game once he gets his first super. Unfortunately, he has zero chance of ever killing another tank or melee brawler, so most of the time you need to wait until last pick. Just like Rosa, he's good on the left lane or stacking left mid, but not as a gem carrier. Be careful with your supers because having low supercharge can make you stuck without it for a very long time. Jackie is a good choice if your opponents take Buster too early, and she has a pretty even matchup with Rosa. Use all of the bushes to your advantage with the speed gear. She's also another choice if Rosa and Buster are banned and the enemy doesn't have many tank counters. Similar to the other tanks, she is best on left lane and stacking left mid, but don't pick up any gems. Dynamite sounds like a weird pick for this map, but hear me out. If the other team has no speed and no wall break, Dynamite can be a very smart pick. Just use your stuns wisely and stick behind the walls. He will struggle at the beginning of the game because of his lack of range, so stick with a teammate stacking either mid or even stacking a lane. Once you get control, you should be able to stick behind their unbreakable wall or one of the walls in the side lane and stop them from doing anything. Gale is very good if the other team took Jackie or Rosa too early, but otherwise is not an amazing pick. Just try and stick to your best matchup, which will probably be Rosa or Jackie, and place tornadoes down at choke points. Use the slowing star power to bully tanks and also to attack their gem carrier. And that is it for the draft guide for this map. Here's a summarizing graphic made by Air in Brawl Stars. Check out his channel in the description. If for some reason you want to screenshot this, please don't crop out either of the credits. Let me know what you liked about the guide and what you think I should do differently if I'm going to make another one. If you enjoyed it and you want to see Power League content and maybe more guides, then I would appreciate it if you subscribed. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.